All right, for segment 1 today, we are going to go through 4. Now, if we do these really quick, maybe I'll go through more than 4. But we'll go through at least 4 of the character classes in Rules Cyclopedia. We're going to start off this one with the fighter. We did the cleric last week, so we're going to do fighter, magic user, thief, and dwarf, and more if we have time for that. But this video is specifically on the fighter. So let's get started. And we'll get started with the super chat.
Boom. Thank you very much, Kevin. Getting the ball rolling.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, for $20. Absolutely. I really appreciate that. Now, I know some people are going to be like, well, I use ad blocker. Okay, that's fine. I'm not demanding. I just think it's a good idea. I don't know. You guys let me know if you think it's a good idea. But let's get started here. So we are going to take a look at the fighter. Fighter's boring. It doesn't do anything.
Fighter is the backbone of basic D&D. I mean, there's no way around it. There really is no way around it. You need a fighter. You can get along in a lot of situations without a wizard. You can get along in almost every situation without an elf, a halfling, or a dwarf. You can't get along anywhere without a fighter. You can't.
Well, here's a couple of things that people tend to say why, especially in old school Dungeons and Dragons styles game. Oops, got to put that up. How did I know I was in my segment? I didn't know. Oh, now I know. Well, every fighter can use weapons. Every fighter does the same thing. To me, that's a role-playing issue. If you're just looking at it at the numbers, then sure, you just pick the best weapon, you just afford the best armor, whatever. There's a little bit of attribute manipulation, ability score manipulation in there, but it's also in how you play the character.
Every human breathes air. Oh,
right?
Everybody poops. Doesn't mean all people are the same, dummy.
Right? And these are the 4 examples I just like to use just to put it out there. Now, theoretically, could Heathen Dog and I, if we had the exact same ability scores, do the exact same stuff? Pretty much yes.
Yeah.
But he decided he wants to go sword and board.
Sure.
He's got a shield, he's got a sword, his armor class is a little better. I decided I want to go and I want to shoot a bow. I mean, you didn't see any rangers in this game, did you?
No.
So I want to shoot a bow. Does that mean I can't use a sword? No, but I focus on long-range combat, so I might have been more dexterous. I did say the same ability scores, I know. But the point is that part of it is how you play it. Now, that doesn't mean I would never go sword and board, or I couldn't. It just meant my character stick is I don't necessarily do that. He takes the front line. He's got more hit points, probably.
I would have the heavier armor, the shield, to
Constitution.
defend him. Yeah. No. We have the same ability score. Shut up. Quit making that mistake. I would choose the weapons and armor to be up close melee fighter. He would choose the weapons and armor to be the long distance, assassin type, kill you on the battlefield. We didn't know where it came from, stuff like that. That's his play style. That's great. We have the same ability scores. We have the same experience, the same level, completely different looking, acting fighters than that you could possibly ever know.
Right. And to be fair, the reason why I do keep saying a different ability scores is because the ability scores are probably going to factor into that. But I did say the exact same. But it gives you a little bit of flexibility. Now, again, when I did character creation last week, some of the comments were like 3d6 down the line.
Okay. That's what I did.
Yeah. Well, that's what you did. It doesn't say you have to do that.
No.
That's all personal taste. I personally, because again, I'm more Hickman manifesto than Gygax purist, is I let you place them how you want. You still have to keep the numbers you roll, but
yeah. You still got to keep the numbers, but if you're rolling 3d6 for everything, then one result is the same as another, as opposed to your random roll. It doesn't really matter,
right?
Unless it affects what you want to play,
right? So, all right. So let's see what it has. So the prime requisite for the fighter is strength. Do we remember what prime requisites are? Well, we can just look at that next line. If you have a high prime requisite for a strength of 13 to 15, you get a 10% experience. 5% experience point bonus. And for a strength of 16 to 18, you get a 10% experience point bonus. Love it. Now we can go back to the chart, and I forget exactly how it looks, but we looked at it last week. You can look at a previous video where if you got that 18 strength, you probably got a +3 to what hit. Is it hit and damage?
And damage for to hit with melee weapons and damage with, I believe, all things.
Okay. So there. Next is hit is D8. You see that? D8 per level. So Rule Cyclopedia does things a little differently than later editions of D&D. More classes are based on a D6, and the fighter's based on a D8. Starting with 10th level, you get 2 per level, and your Constitution adjustment no longer applies. So we're not going to dive into what that means, but the quick version is you get a Constitution adjustment based on your Constitution score, whatever that modifier is, until 10th level. Then it's just +2 across the board. +2, +2. Doesn't matter if your Constitution's 8 or 18, it's +2, +2, +2, +2. You get to be 36 level, hard level cap. And you can have any armor and shields. You can use any weapons, and your special ability, which we will, I don't know if we're looking at today. I think that comes later. Lance attack and set spear versus charge maneuvers. Yeah, Chapter 8. We'll get to that in Chapter 8. I'm not going to jump ahead to cover what that means now. But you get those abilities. I think one of them comes at a later level, though, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that one. Please don't actually me. But
what this basically means is that all fighters are trained in basic footman combat.
Yeah.
And, if you're defending against a charge or a horse or whatever, or on a horse, you need to know the basics of this. And so everyone can.
Right. And one of the things we'll discuss in a few weeks is it says right here, weapons any. That means that you have the same stack or same combat chart across the board. Does not matter what you're using as a weapon. Short sword, long sword, lance, spear,
whip,
whatever. It's all the same target number. Where this will change for your character and where what Heathen Dog and I were talking about earlier will come to kind of shine is when it comes to weapon mastery.
Fighter combat options. That's what it says here. So, yeah.
All right. So, scroll down here. Primal X, we already talked about that. We already talked about rolling 8 hit dice. So, special abilities. Beginning fighters initially receive only a couple of special abilities and need no other special abilities to survive and prosper. Their great strength, hit points, strong armor, and many weapons make them a powerful character class without additional special abilities. Boring. No. At high experience levels, though, they do receive some additional fighting abilities. The 2 special abilities they do receive immediately are Lance. Okay, I guess they're immediate. For some reason, I thought one of them came later. I guess that was my mistake. Lance attack maneuver and set spear versus charge maneuver. These maneuvers are described in Chapter 8. And again, when we cover Chapter 8, you can learn more about that then. At high experience levels, some fighters receive specific special abilities, including fighter combat options and other abilities also described in Chapter 8. I guess in more modern parlance, think of those as like feats. Now, here we go. Remember last week when you talked about the traveling cleric and the domain or the landowning cleric? Well, Guess what? You're going to have that across the board. You're going to have that for the magic user. You're going to have it for the thief. You're going to have it for everybody. So let's take a look at the fighter. A fighter with enough money may build himself a home, even a castle, before he reaches 9th experience level. Notice that. You don't have to wait till 9th level to lay that first foundation stone. However, this...
ducats, you're good.
What's that?
If you have the ducats, you can do it.
Right. Yep. However, this home has no official sanction, even if it's a castle. The character is not a ruler or a nobleman. When a fighter reaches name level, which is 9th level, the character is, owing to his great ability and reputation, addressed as Lord if male and Lady if female. This is status within his community, even if it's not a formal title. It is for the DM to decide whether or not it is a formal title bestowed upon the fighter by the nation's rulers. Notice that it's funny, it's got game mechanics mixed in with the role-playing aspect of it here. Because it really...
If you really, really want to be a real lord or lady, then you're also going to have to kiss up a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. Also, when you're delving dungeons and killing orcs in the woods or whatever, does your status
to the king might be a good idea.
Yeah, but also does your title of lord matter at that point? No. Yeah. So it's kind of it's more of on the role playing side. But when we get to landowning and traveling later, you will see that there are some definite differences. All right. At name level, the fighter will have to decide whether he intends to be a landowning fighter or a traveling fighter. Don't be confused by these names. A landowning fighter may spend a lot of time traveling and adventuring, and a traveling fighter may spend a lot of time at home. Got to keep those people in line. Where's my mouse? Landowning fighters. By the way, landowning fighter is the short one in this one. You'll see why in a moment.
Okay.
There are two ways for a fighter to become a land-owning fighter: independently or fealty to a greater ruler. Interesting. Didn't the cleric had to have fealty, didn't he?
Yeah. You had to be part of your order.
The DM decides on what sort of government is used in his campaign, assuming that it's based on medieval Europe, as is the case with many D&D game campaigns. A nation's government consists in part of a king and queen ruling a strong court of dukes, counts, and barons, each of whom rules smaller territory or fiefdom. In order to become a ruler within an existing country, you'll have to petition the country's rulers for a grant of land. So this isn't just like, hey, I'm 9th level, I get land. No. You need to walk up and say, sire, may I please
rule over some of these lands over here?
Would you like to delegate some of your authority to me? If he's already done them great services in the past, they may give it to him immediately and gracefully. But if he's not already their friend or ally, they may send him on difficult quests that he can prove himself. Oh, King Arthur.
Or just say no.
There you go. Once he has been granted the land, he may build his castle upon it at his own expense. Notice that that's written in there. Or, you know what? Maybe you're lucky and you find an old one and pay taxes on it. The land maybe... What's that?
It's a fixer-upper.
Fixer-upper. There you go. I went to the auction and...
Castle Flip. It's a new TV show.
There you go. Hey, don't take that from Heathen Dog. That's his new stream.
Trademark.
The land may be occupied or not. If it's unoccupied, the prospective ruler had best try to lure settlers there soon so that his dominion will begin receiving tax revenues. You are not going to be able to expand your kingdom if you are not taxing the poor serfs.
Yeah, and I'm sure the king is going to want some kickback in the form of taxes from, making you a lord. I mean, kings love money, right? So there it is.
At the very least, a landowning fighter within an existing country will be granted the title of baron, if male, or baroness, if female, or equivalent. If he continues to expand his land within the nation... if he continues to expand his land within the nation's laws and to... If he continues to expand his land within the nation's laws and to make his dominion an increasingly strong and rich one, he may receive greater titles such as count. Okay, for some reason, I felt like there should have been a comma there, but maybe I'm wrong. If the fighter wishes to make
a duke, if you can manage people properly.
First, you got to manage other lords properly, right?
Yeah. First, you got to be able to kill a lot of folk, being a good fighter, get to 9th level, and then you got to be able to finesse a lot of folk to actually become a count or a duke or whatever.
Right. I should finish that. Once somebody's dominion wilderness, which is not within an existing country, may call himself anything he wants. Baron, Duke, King, Emperor of Flies. However, be aware that a too glorious title will make others laugh at him or just wipe him out. Oh, you're the emperor of these 5 acres? Okay, sure, good job. If he takes a title, it should be appropriate to the size and strength of the dominion he is ruling. He may wish to change the title as it increases in size and prosperity, or, you know what? Look strong when you're weak, look weak when you're strong. Oh, I'm just a sir. I don't even have a real title. I'm just barely a lord of the manor. All right, traveling fighters. This one's going to be a bit longer.
Okay.
If at 9th level a fighter does not decide to make a dominion for himself, he chooses to become a traveling fighter. Traveling fighters don't usually have the political. It's going to be the same thing as a cleric. They're not going to have as much political power. By the way, if you've watched the other videos and this seems redundant, I apologize, but I have to do some of this repetition for people who haven't watched the other videos. So. What if you're only here to find out about fighters and nothing about clerics or wizards or whatever? But they can receive special abilities to help compensate for that. So if you don't have power over domain and people to go do your bidding for you, you get power for yourself.
Theoretically,
right. No, we said can. They don't receive these abilities automatically. The alignment of a traveling fighter determines special abilities and other characteristics. A lawful traveling fighter may be known as a paladin if he meets the following requirements. If he does not meet those requirements, he may become a knight, as described below. So first, you must swear fealty and oath of service to a lawful clerical order to gain paladin status.
Sure.
So you can, remember from last week, you can be a paladin of the Teamsters.
Yep.
The fighter must be of name level or greater to be accepted into the clerical order. Thereafter, the paladin may be summoned by the order's leaders at any time and must do as they command, as long as the service aids the powers of good. So you have to be a good teamster, I guess.
Or good for the teamsters. They're, yeah.
A paladin can detect evil, as per the cleric's spell, as often as once per round simply by concentrating.
Wow, that's pretty
Range
good.
120 feet, cannot use this ability and attack in the same round.
Fair enough.
Well, yeah, we'll have to look at the cleric spell. Well, and I think we do spells in 2 weeks.
Okay.
If the paladin's wisdom score is 13 or greater, the character can cast cleric spells as if he were a cleric of 1/3 his actual experience level and round any fractions down.
Okay.
So if the fighter becomes a paladin at 9th level, he'll immediately gain the spells of a 3rd level cleric.
Okay.
A 17th level paladin can cast spells if you're a 5th level cleric.
Sure.
If his wisdom score is 12 or less, the fighter can still be a paladin, but cannot cast spells. And this is going to be one of those areas where players say, well, then it's not worth it to do, got to have a 13 or higher. It sucks to,
No, you don't. See, because you can still turn undead.
Yeah. Oh, can you? Yeah, it looks like you can. A paladin can turn undead as if he were a cleric of 1/3 his actual experience level. Again, round all fractions down. Therefore, a 6th level or 7th level paladin can turn undead with the same ability as a 2nd level cleric. The good news is for you is if you fail at turning them, you still got a pretty good set of armor and a sword and some nice hit numbers and so forth. So
exactly.
You're just helping yourself along with this one.
Yeah, I know. It's a free plan A.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
A paladin may only travel with a number of hirelings equal to or less than his clerical level. In other words, if he can cast spells or turn undead as a 5th level cleric, he can have 5 hirelings accompany him.
Yeah, you're not
That's
supposed to
interesting. It'd be fun to see the distinction this game makes between hirelings, mercenaries, followers. What's the other term that's used a lot? Or if it does.
Vassals.
Yeah, there's another term out there I'm not thinking of, but a paladin must assist anyone. Oh, must. That's that's italicized.
Alex, yes.
A paladin must assist anyone who asks for help, with 2 exceptions. He does not have to help evil characters or achieve evil goals, and if the paladin is on a mission for a higher authority, such as a quest serving a duke, etc., he can offer only a small amount of help, such as sheltering or advising the person in need of aid. I cannot read. Along with an explanation for his refusal. So he's like, look, man, I got something I'm doing for the king right now. Go to that safe house. I got to go.
Yeah.
You know what? Go talk to Heathen Dog. He's got time for you. I don't. I'm heading out.
I mean, technically, after reading this list, the Blues Brothers were paladins.
Okay. I haven't watched that movie in so long.
Well, think about it. I mean, they go to their old orphanage, which is also a church run by a nun. The nun asks for help. God actually taps one of them on the shoulder with the whole mystic light and everything. And then throughout the entire story that they're trying to save the orphanage, their only response of what are you doing? Says, we're on a mission from God. That's all they're doing. And they don't do anything else. They ignore everything else in their life. Old girlfriends, people trying to kill them, cops chasing them. Doesn't matter because we're on a mission from God. Boom. They just go. They're low wisdom paladins. They don't have spells, but they're still paladins, right? There you go.
There you go. Now your Blues Brothers campaign has been put into motion by Heathen Dog. All right. So now assistance never involves donations of money or items, but only service for a short time. Basically, you can't buy your way out of it. Is the point there? Here, take some gold and leave me alone. Like, nope. All right. Now, if you don't qualify for a paladin, or if you're of neutral alignment, you may become a knight. Lawfuling travel. Yeah, I already said that part. So to gain knighthood, a fighter must swear fealty to a prince, king, or emperor. In return, the ruler will declare the character a knight. That ruler becomes the knight's liege. Hey, that's my name on the bottom. At least for a second. That's weird. Oh, no, it went away. Maybe those artifacts actually are just the reader. In most campaigns, knights are the most common sort of traveling fighters. The following rules apply to knight. If summoned by your liege, you gotta go help him as quickly as possible.
Boss is calling.
Yep, boss is calling. You don't get to ignore him, and I'm sure things go poorly for you if you try. Oh, and here we go, right here. If the knight ever refuses to obey the liege or ever swears fealty to another liege, the knight loses 3 levels of experience.
Oh, damn.
Wow. The
That
DM
seems supernaturally harsh for someone who's not involved with any kind of supernatural thing. Just, Prince Bob said come, I said no, and suddenly I'm in existential crisis. That doesn't make sense to me.
Your word is your bond actually had some meaning back then.
Fair.
The previous liege may even order the offender slain for his treachery. So you lost 3 levels and the mercs are after you.
Yep.
Or the army. In addition, rumors and tales of the traitorous knight may haunt the character forever after. The character may find it difficult to find help in places where his reputation is known. Remember, one of the things, and Heathen Dog and I have talked about this for other issues, if you change allegiances, do you think your current team actually trusts you? You flip the script once. There are some extenuating circumstances where it's like, oh, I didn't realize this team was this way. You actually are the team that I align with. I made a mistake. Okay, that can happen. But if you just cultivate it over time to become a traitor, little nice little devil words in your ear, right? Even the side that you turn to isn't going to trust you anymore. So look at Benedict Arnold. Look at the life of Benedict Arnold after he moved back to the UK. If his liege dies, the knight is free to choose another. Additional benefits, lands, money, etc., may be awarded to knights who swear fealty to a successor of a liege who dies. A knight may, again, a lot of nobility did buy their places, right, or buy support.
Yeah.
So that's how I get Heathen Dog on these live streams.
Yeah, he buys my work. That's it.
A knight may petition the liege for a peaceful end to his oath. However, it's rarely granted. The knight would be banished at the least and could be stripped of all possessions as well. A knight may visit any castle of any territory and request sanctuary. The castle owner must, by the customs of the land, give the knight a place to stay for up to 3 days, along with food and drink. Now, this is an area of little consternation. Well, my system doesn't utilize this. Thing is, it's baked into the game.
Yeah, then you're not playing the game the way it's written.
Or you have to give something else to make up for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I'm not going to harp on that. We're doing a deep dive read through here. He does not have to be friendly to the knight, but according to this custom, may not challenge, attack, or refuse sanctuary to the knight. Note that the knight cannot challenge or attack his host or members of his host's court or family either. Duh. But I understand players, and that's why it was put in here. Should he do so, his sanctuary is at an end, you think?
Yeah, and the host is now going to string him up.
Yep, exactly. In campaigns modeled after medieval Europe, this custom is nearly universal, but the DM is free to indicate that the custom is not present in his nations, or if his nations are not similar to Europe. But that's where I say you've got to put something else in there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's the point of being a knight, right?
If it's a Japanese-based campaign, they have a similar thing. If it's an Arab-based campaign, they have a similar thing. Is it exactly the same? No, but it's similar.
Breaking bread and all those kind of rules, yeah. If a call to arms sounds, a call for a knight to battle for justice, just get there for justice. A call for knights to battle. There we go. Yeah. The knight must respond. This declaration can only be issued by the ruler of a large town or territory, archduke, or greater status, and the knight need only respond if it sounds in the area through which he is passing, or if called by his liege. When the call to arms sounds, the knight must immediately travel as fast as possible to the ruling castle of one who made the call to arms, and fight as ordered by the ruler within the constraints of any knightly oaths he took in the course of the campaign. Now, this gets really particular. I'm not going to dive into all the nuances of this, but your game master is going to have a good grasp of this. Let's skip the parenthetical there. The knight is entitled to compensation for this service. The ruler issuing the call to arms must grant the knight a gift appropriate to the value of the knight's service. Many rulers will offer the knight the gift out of gratitude. Some will not. But you got to get paid for it. Basically, you can't be just totally called and screwed on this.
Yeah, and if you ask for it, they got to give it. But you don't have to ask for it.
There are 2 notable exceptions to the custom of the call to arms. In lands where the civilization is very different from medieval Europe, this custom might not be used. All right. Again, if you're taking away, well, you know what? If you take away the call to arms, I could also understand taking away the sanctuary.
Yeah, because that's the price in behavior
Right.
for the sanctuary, is that, hey, if a neighboring noble who you are not, affiliated directly with asks for help and you say no, then you're not recognized as a knight and they don't have to board you up. It's a quid pro quo type deal,
If the knight is within a territory that has declared itself hostile to the knight's liege, the knight need not respond. In fact, I'd hightail it out of there.
Yeah, enemies. Yeah, they're enemies. Sorry.
If the call to arms is against the land of his liege, he must not respond. In fact, the knight would be in great danger when the call to arms sounds. Yeah, GTFO, man.
It's a trap. Or if it's not a trap, it's not worth rolling the die to say it might not be a trap. It's not worth it.
And now we got the chaotic people. A chaotic traveling fighter may become an Avenger. Insert your Marvel theme music here. If he meets the following requirements. Otherwise, he can also become a knight. This is part of why knights are the most numerous. The fighter must make an alliance with the clerical order. All right.
A chaotic clerical order.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, you were right. Chaotic clerical order. This is not a swearing. Okay, this is not a swearing, an oath of fealty, but a loose agreement of loyalty and support. Yeah, okay, yeah, sure. Yeah, sounds cool. I'll do it. The order may decline the offer. If the order accepts, the order's leaders may summon the Avenger at any time, and he must do as they command. If he disobeys them, he loses all special abilities and benefits of the Avenger. Even then, the fighter may regain Avenger status by negotiating with a different order. Notice the chaos here?
Yeah, I mean, he might not care to answer, and he knows he'll lose the abilities we're going to talk about next, but he just doesn't care. He'll just go across the street.
An Avenger can detect evil as the cleric spell up to once per round simply by concentrating. Same thing as the paladin, it looks like. Sure. If the Avenger's wisdom score is 13 or greater, the Avenger can learn to class cleric spells as if he were a cleric of 1/3. Okay, this is all
the same as the
paladin. Just want to Avenger learns how to meditate and cast spells from clerics in order, but at a price.
Oh, he's got a 10 grand per spell. Damn.
Hey, look, it's chaos, man. They're not just going to give you stuff. This isn't benevolence over here. The Avenger learns how to meditate, cast spells from clerics of the order, but at a price. The price is at the DM's discretion, but a minimum of 10,000 gold pieces per clerical spell gained is recommended.
Minimum.
An Avenger may turn undead as if he were a cleric of 1/3 his actual experience level, but with an important difference. If the result is turn or destroy, the Avenger may choose to control them instead.
Oh, burn. Oh, there it is.
If control is chosen, it lasts for 1 turn per level of the Avenger. Thus, a 17th level Avenger could control him for 17 turns. And let's remember, we haven't got into it yet. We'll get into it later. Turns are not short periods of time. There's indoor and outdoor considerations that we will deal with later on, but this isn't like you got him for a couple minutes and you're done. Undead, thus controlled, behave as if charmed, obeying the Avenger if they're buds. However, if the undead are turned or destroyed by a cleric during the duration of the control is dispelled immediately and cannot be renewed.
Oh.
If the duration of the control ends without incident, the undead will flee as if turned. So you don't have to worry about them coming back and smacking you in the teeth.
Yeah, they're just going to go away.
And by the way, I think that's a good rule to put in there because, a lot of people like to be like, well, you turned them and there they are. Now they're attacking you. Like,
come on, man.
Or you controlled them. Sorry, not turned, but
yeah, they're not intelligent undead. We're talking about like skeletons and ghouls.
Right. Plus, also, it would almost be pointless to use the ability at that point because you're controlling them. Then all of a sudden they turn around and attack you. It tends to make abilities like that useless. It's a game mechanic thing to not make the ability useless. An Avenger may not have human or demi-human hirelings. Well, hope you like goblins. However, the Avenger may try to persuade monsters of chaotic alignment to become his hirelings. If a chaotic creature is not immediately hostile, reaction rolls, we'll deal with those later. Hostile, the Avenger may offer food or treasure, indicating through words and gestures friendship or alignment language. If this fails, threats or combat resulting in surrender may accomplish nearly the same result. If the creature's reaction roll indicates friendship, the creature is persuaded to follow Why is that italicized? That's interesting. Well, I can't highlight in this version. The effect lasts for a duration identical to the charm magic user spell. Once it ends, it cannot be renewed.
Okay, so everything is ephemeral with the Avenger. That makes sense.
Well, I think it's exaggerating intentionally so the chaotic nature of the alignment, which I think is good. Avenger may have a number of chaotic monster hirelings that his charisma score allows. Once he loses one, he may try to persuade another. All right. An Avenger may visit any castle, ruin, or dungeon known to be ruled by an intelligent, chaotic monster. So, if you find a dungeon controlled by some hobgoblins or vampire or whatever, obviously right here it says using his alignment tongue, demand, not request, demand sanctuary. Okay. An Avenger may pretend to be a knight and request sanctuary of other rulers if he deceives the ruler and is not tripped up by some alignment revealing magic. The ruler will provide him with normal sanctuary. So look at that.
You can lie, cheat, and steal.
Now, this is what I would do as a gamer. Does this make sense? I don't know, but this is what I would do as a gamer. I'm just going to speak to him in the lawful alignment tongue, since you can't learn it if you're of that alignment. Remember, we read that last week, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, he doesn't understand what I'm saying. He's evil. He can't. Nope, he's not true. I think that's too simplistic.
Also the lawful alignment and the chaotic alignment are two very extremes. They should not be 1/3 of the total amount of people. The majority of people should be neutral.
Sure.
So that little tiny, count or duchess or whatever may not have someone. That's a good point.
Knights are neutral, right. I don't know why I was thinking paladin for some reason, but yeah, knights are neutral. So yeah, okay. That still would be But you can be good knights and you can be evil knights. So yeah, that wouldn't be an end all be all. But I could see somebody being like, well, if you can't speak my language, I don't know if I trust you. You're either spy or you're here to destroy. I don't like it either way. Go away. But I get it. So. All right. I think that's it. Changing back and forth, it talks in here for once you decide, you should stay decided and only under extreme circumstances should you change.
Like just like last time when we talked about the cleric, if his monastery's burned down, he can transfer to becoming a wandering cleric instead of a landowning cleric because, well, his monastery burned down. So there you go.
All right. So that's the fighter. We'll go through comments here in just a second. We'll take a look at the magic user next. Let's see what folks. I know I started one. Hopefully you start a few. Because I see, by the way, 65 people watching. We actually now have more people watching tonight than we had Friday night. I think that's the first time we've had more on a Sunday than on a Friday in a year.
Okay.
Well, I'm jealous.
Well, let's talk about Kevin. Talk about character actions having consequences. That is true. I mean, with the whole knight thing, it requires role play and it requires the player to make decisions that have lasting effect. I like that.
So do I. And that decision to go traveling or landowning really, and I'll probably say this in every one of the class videos, but it really is a matter. Are you more like us, where we're kind of Hickman Manifesto people? We look at Dragonlance and Lord of the Rings and so forth, where it's like, we want to keep adventuring. I don't want to do domain play. It's not for me. Or do you want domain play? There you go. It's baked into the game. Which way do you want to go? And one gives you authority over a whole ton of people. The other one gives you more powers to do your adventuring. I like it. I think, again, I'd have to see it in play, but I like it.
Yeah. Then we have Damon X says, so the Avenger is the precursor to the anti-paladin?
I don't know if it's precursor or not, because this book actually came out in 1991, if I remember correctly, which is 2 years after AD&D 2nd edition.
But I don't know when the anti-paladin actually came out.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if this comports completely with Beckme. I've never done a word-for-word side-by-side comparison of this and Beckme. I do have the Beckme books. You can probably see it's I merged them. Those are the two books right there. But I would say just for the purposes of pedantry, no, because this book came out after people were talking about anti-paladin. But since it's based on Beckme, maybe.
And then Kevin comes up with Hey, now we already know that the chaos does not mean evil. Now, the reason I started this is because, well, we know that, but maybe people watching now didn't watch the clerical thing. And yes, there are 3 alignments. None of them are evil. None of them. You can do
Yeah,
evil
but
things.
it did talk, when we covered the alignments, it did talk about how order is generally good and chaos is generally evil.
Yeah, but nothing is actually called evil. Nothing is actually called good. There's lawful, there's neutral, and chaotic. You can be an evil, lawful character. You can be an evil, neutral character. You can be an evil, chaotic character. And good works the same way. Definitely. It all depends on how you play. As long as you're within the rules, within the lane, stay in your lane, you can dance around inside. So, just like Max and I were talking about earlier, we can have 2 fighters, the exact same stats, but be completely different people depending on not just what we choose to wear or what what weapons we use, but how we conduct ourselves within our alignment. We could both be the same alignment and be completely different people. Some people would think I'm a cool guy. Some people would think he's a douche. And other people would think the opposite, depending on how we played our alignment, which gives us a lot of leeway.
All right. Just 2 more I want to put up.
Go for it.
And I'm putting this up because while we're reading through the rules of the book, this just goes to the whole idea that everybody plays D&D a little bit differently, and it's meant to be played a little bit differently between groups. So apparently you get parry, smash, and disarm as special powers. At 9th level, I'm guessing that's for the fighter. We'll get to that when we get to Chapter 8. In my game, I've let players take 1 at 4th, 7th, or 9th of their choice to give players buffs over levels. That's cool.
That makes sense. I mean, I like it. I like that homebrew. I do.
And then, where was the other one? There was one more. Oh, this one. The writers should have introduced other traditions like the exchange of sons between titled families. I think that starts diving into people who want that. Yes, people who actually look into medieval lore and history, and the firstborn son is tailored to be the king. The second one's like the general. Third one goes to the monastery. I think that's how it worked.
Or maybe not the monastery or the university, or is married off, or
right. I think all of that is beneficial to a campaign, but I think if we start diving too much into that, it becomes more of a history lesson than a game. But I mean, conceptually, yes, I think this should be employed.
If the game master wants to go that deep into the social structure of his or her country, awesome. More flavor. More flavor makes the meal better, right? There you go.
And since I know it's going to happen on like every video, we can argue alignments all day and all night, and how to use alignments and how everybody uses them differently and how they could have been worded better. And is it a social construct, or is it a cosmic relationship, or is it definitive of your actions? We're not getting into any of that here. We're just talking about what we're reading and then how you can utilize it in your game. If you do it differently, that's cool. But this isn't, we're not going to dive into alignment arguments because that's an entire Friday night show in and of itself, probably. So cool. Anything else?
Nope, that's about it.
All right. If you can. Oh wait, I'm off the chat.
I got it.
Okay. So with that said, again, the next one is going to be on the magic user, and we'll probably have the same substance: what you get, what it's about, and what you can do as a traveler or as a land owning magic user. So look forward to talking to you folks then.